Welcome back to the Youth and Politics podcast. My name is Cody.
And my name is Carrara, and today we are here with
Hassnat, hi.
hi. This is our first ever online episode, so I'm quite
Yes.
excited to see how this goes. But yeah, looking forward to it. Hassnat, would you like to tell us a little bit about your journey as an activist?
Yeah, so I've been an activist for just over a year. I remember joining in June of last year, and then ever since then I've loved it. I feel like because mental health is something just close to my heart. I feel like I can contribute to something and like make a difference because
Oh, disconnected. No,
Yes.
I'm just cautious that the meeting's like 40 minutes. That's fine. Do you just a message? I know he'll probably join back. Okay. Do you know what's bugging me is the audio. Like, why can't we hear him through the speakers?
Did he like just?
No, no, no. I'm gonna pause the record. Okay, cool. If you want to just like carry on kind of from where you left off. It's like
Shall I just start
backtrack.
again?
Yeah, you can start again.
Welcome back to the Youth and Politics podcast. My name is Cody.
And my name is Carrara, and today we are here with
Hassnat, hi.
this is our first ever online episode, so I'm quite excited to see how it goes. Hassat, would you like to start us off by telling us a little bit about your journey as an activist?
Yeah, so I've been an activist for just over a year. I started in June in 2024, and ever since then, my journey's been incredible because I feel like I've been able to contribute to something which is close to my heart. Because I've struggled with mental health ever since I can remember, and I feel like I could use this position to give back to the community and make a difference.
Yeah, what's your favorite part about being an activist?
My favorite part would be it would be in the care circles where you can like give advice about mental health and like how you deal with it and like your experiences with it. And another favorite thing of mine is writing blogs. Like I've written a few blogs so far, and the response has been incredible because I've helped a lot of people in that sense because other people have like read my tips and stuff, and they said that it's nice to find someone that they can relate to as well. So it feels nice that I'm making a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think obviously we're both Young Minds activists. I mean obviously we've been to Parliament and stuff, like from your experience, how have you felt speaking to like decision makers and stuff have gone for you? It, it's been liberating because people who are in that kind of power I feel like we can use our voice to make a difference. And because last month we did a program where we wanted to help make a change for mental health and exam pressure, and then we were joined by local MPs, and one of the activists gave a speech, and then we were asked questions about why we feel exams should change in this country, and it really did make a difference as well. So I just wish we could do more of these in the future.
Mm. Yeah, I think like having those discussions with like decision makers and people in power that can actually like implement the change that we
Yeah.
advocate for, I think
Yeah.
that's so like important. I think it's so, so, so good. But yeah, like what inspired you to become an activist? Like why activism?
Um, I did a skydive for charity a few years ago, for a mental health charity called Mind,
Mm.
and ever since then, I've been donating bits and bobs to mental health charities. And when I heard up about this opportunity, I couldn't say no to it. So I wanted to help make a change.
Yeah, that's really nice actually.
Yeah,
I think like
absolutely.
it's nice that you're like naturally just drawn
Yeah,
to it.
yeah.
I think that's really important.
I think like another question for me would be like obviously there's like loads of thousands of activists out there. Like, how do you think networking with different activists makes you feel? And have you learned anything from any other activists you've met?
Um, I've learned that everyone's got their own story, and everyone's everyone's different and unique in their own way. So it should make you feel any different. If you're struggling with something, um, there are people out there who can support you and who can relate to you. And meeting other people who are passionate about mental health as well, it only makes you feel better because you feel like you can get that step closer to making a change for mental health and making a difference.
Mm. Yeah, no, I think I agree. I think like when you talk to other activists, it's like it's inspiring to see them do their thing because it kind of makes you also want to do your thing a bit more and then maybe do it with them, which I think is so like it's really cool because I think that's kind of what happened with us. You know, like
Mm.
he's an activist, I'm an activist. It's nice to just get together and do stuff. So it's really, really cool. Let's talk a little bit about the mental health bill that the government is re-looking at. They want to kind of rebrand it a little bit. So the aim of that was to initially reform the Mental Health Act from 1983, which is it's been a while since 1983, can I just say? So I think it's a really positive thing that the government it wants to like reform it. How do you feel about that?
Um, I read up about the new mental health bill, I think last week, and I've I've done my research on it, and if anything, I want it to go ahead
Mm.
because I feel like people should be entitled to their own rights. And for example, like when it comes to like reform, uh, people should have people who are autistic. They should have a choice, or they should have they should be diagnosed with like a with another mental health diagnosis. Because I feel like just being autistic and then going to reform could could make you feel a little bit labeled in that sense. So I feel like because if there's people who are autistic and they feel like they've got a label on them, um, they may struggle with like things like mental health issues or PTSD after they come out of reform. So I think it's really important. There's loads of reasons to why I feel like the new mental health bill is
Mm.
is integral to society.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I again, I looked at it when it first came out, and I think the aim of it is to give more security to young people and also parents with those that are going through issues. And for me personally, as an autistic person, I think it somewhat. I don't like the fact that obviously it uses terms like it labels you personally. But I think for many young people, it'll be very nice for them to know what they may support they can have. So I think supporting wise, I think it's definitely great. Um, in your vision, what do you think this mental health bill could include?
I feel like the mental health bill could include more more opportunities for people who are in reform, or because the like people in reform they could maybe choose who can refer them rather than like the law doing it for them. Because if they're choosing who's referring them, that person is likely to be close to them and they know like they know how they operate and what what they would prefer when it comes to reform. So it would make a huge difference in that sense, I feel like. And I feel like people who have come out of reform should have more benefits. For example, they should have things um, like employment, helping them help getting into work, or or like other benefits from the government, whether it be like free gym membership or like advice on life, whether it be taxes, whether it be mortgage, whether it be even health. Like they could because I feel like your health always comes first.
Mm.
And if the government helps address people's mental health issues, it's only going to make things better in the future.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like such a huge part of this mental health bill is autonomy and like people having like more control over their own like treatment and care. So I think by doing that, I think it gives people peace of mind that actually like I'm in control of my own health. I can look after myself in the way that I want to look after myself rather than it being dictated by someone else. Because one of the four main principles of the Act is like least restriction. So people's freedom isn't limited in terms of what they want from their treatment and how they would like to be treated. So I think that's like really important. Yeah. I think that's really, I think that's like what I'm like, I think that's probably the biggest thing, like the
Mm.
takeaway from the mental
No,
health bill is the
100%.
autonomy that people get.
I think it was something that was needing to come anyway.
Mm,
I think it like from obviously like we have talked many times about like healthcare and etc. And like obviously the NHS is so like struggling with mental health right now. I think we can all agree with that. And the mental health system in general just needs looking at reform. Because, for example, if we're going into education, because I think mental health affects education the most, where students struggle to speak to any trusted adult or something like that. So I feel like if the mental health system actually included those students who felt like they couldn't talk to anyone, then we'll actually end up getting somewhere. And I do think this mental health bill would give those students that reassurance.
mm. Yeah, and I think like the mental health bill that's provided, it's obviously focusing on giving stronger rights to people in psychiatric hospitals, sorry, so that people aren't having to go to hospital
Mm.
unless it's absolutely necessary. Because obviously there's steps that would be taken before, and then the last like choice would be that you go to hospital. So little question, it's kind of a thinking you question, but I thought it was quite interesting to like maybe discuss and talk about. But do you think that part of the reason why the mental health bill was introduced is to like reduce the waiting list time so there's less people on the waiting list because going to hospital is like a last option?
Mm.
Did that make sense as a question? I might have phrased that really weird.
No, no, you explain it perfectly. Explain it perfectly. I feel like either that could be an option, or maybe just increase the funding for funding. Because if you're increasing the funding for things like reform or even like A&E, you're likely to get better waiting times, and like the system will be more equipped to like deal with like overwhelming demands as well. So um, for me, it's any of them two options because I shouldn't feel like people should be getting referred just on the basis of one single mental health issue like things like autism because especially like with all the new like because loads of people are getting diagnosed now. I think like I read on the NHS waiting list. I think almost like 200,000 people are on the waiting list for an autism diagnosis, and like receiving a diagnosis, receiving diagnosis and being new to things like autism can be overwhelming as well.
Mm.
So and if someone's just been diagnosed with autism and they've been referred to hospital, it can make things worse because receiving diagnosis like autism is not easy because I remember when I was diagnosed with ADHD, it took me time to process it, and I, to be fair, at first I was really insecure about it. I wouldn't tell anyone about it, and then eventually, when I started getting things like therapy, and I started reading like online blogs about other people who struggle with ADHD as well, it made me feel a little bit better as well. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think like also like you said, when I think when people are diagnosed with things, it can be really hard to actually come out and talk about that to other
Mm.
people. So I think like there's so much stigma around being diagnosed with autism, ADHD, and like anxiety, depression. Like there's just so much stigma around it. And I think and I hope that like this mental health bill will actually help kind of reduce some of
Yeah.
that stigma because these are all feelings that people go through. Like
Oh, yeah.
it's not unnatural, it's not like inhumane. It's a very, very normal thing. And I think that this mental health act can actually probably help normalize that a bit more, which would be really good for young people.
Mm. I I actually had a question that's actually off topic of the mental health bill. But it's going back to something where I wanted to kind of just let the viewers, our viewers, etc., know. Like, obviously, you mentioned the campaign missing the mark. Would you like care to like explain that and how young minds are trying to campaign the government to relieve exam stress?
Was this in Parliament last month?
Yes, yeah, the event
Yeah,
last.
yeah. Were we not there, Gordon?
What, sorry?
Was you not there?
Oh no, I was there. Yeah, no,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in for the, I'm in for the viewers wise. So if you'd like
Right.
to, yeah.
All right. So basically, um, in June we went to Parliament, and then one of activists called Dinah gave a speech about the exam pressure and mental health, and we all asked the MPs questions like if your child was in this position, how would you feel? And have you seen the statistics? We showed them those statistics as well regarding mental health and exams, and we urged them to like maybe give like different accommodations to people struggling with exam pressure, or like even different forms of like sitting exams, whether it be a formal exam or it could be anything else to relieve the stress of exam pressure. And then and then we had loads of signs which said different things like help end exam pressure, and just little lines regarding like the importance of um, mental health and exams. And then we took pictures of loads of different MPs, and then we had conversations with them regarding exam pressure. And it was it was a fantastic experience, because I feel like with those people in power and you're in person as well, it makes so much more of a difference, rather than just like doing all these online activities. I'm not saying they're not helpful, but I feel like the in-person events are the most changing for
Yes.
mental
And
health.
what do you think is like the best solution? Like, in your opinion, what is the best solution to help relieve exam pressure from young people?
Um, I actually did some research the other day about this. I feel like they could maybe like be exam take exams in a different way, rather than just like sitting on a desk and like writing the answers. They could have like alternative methods, or I feel like for year six people, especially because with the SATs and stuff, and like because of the youth club where I coach, a lot of the kids were struggling with exam pressure, and they're only young as well, the 10, 11 year old. Like that, you shouldn't be really worrying about exam pressure and like grades and stuff at that young age. So I feel like for at least they should not, I won't say scrap that, but they can maybe like ease ease the whole idea of it, and maybe potentially even scrap the SATs,
Mm.
Mm.
or maybe maybe like do take part in something which is not as like it's not as intimidating as exams, rather than just like
Mm.
they could maybe do they could maybe like prepare themselves for going into exams when they get into high school or even college, rather than doing it straight away.
Yeah, because I think like so you're just talking about SATs, so it made me think of this, but I think like from such a young age,
Yeah.
like we're so used to hearing about exams and having to sit exams. Like at first you've got like your SATs and your 11 plus. That's like a huge thing that so many people do. And then after that, it's GCSEs. And if you continue with like standard education, it goes straight into A levels. So it's kind of just like since we're like very, very young, we're kind
Yeah.
of like programmed to just deal with exams and have to sit exams and everything. So I think, like you said, maybe having alternatives, like a different way of preparing for them would actually be really beneficial for young
Yeah,
people, I think.
especially just letting young people sit down with just a big piece of paper, and you give them a time limit and they've got to fill it in, and like then you obviously give them the grades, and then you're basing them off a number.
Mhm.
For many young people, especially with neurodivergence and stuff, that's very stressful, and you're doing that at a young age. So personally, for me, I would call the government to scrap SATs in all UK schools to
Yeah.
relieve that stress and stuff. Obviously, GCSEs are very, very important, but for SATs in this country, what they do is just determine what sets you're going to be in year seven, and I don't think that should be. And they do tests in year seven anyway, so I think it defeats the object.
Yeah, because remember the yes, like year six, like 10 to 11 year old, and like the fact that they're doing something which will determine on what set they're going to be in. Like it's sort of questioning the worth in that sense as well, because I feel like at such a young age when your brain's developing and when you feel you're unworthy, it can be a very detrimental thing to grow up with. So I feel like kids should they should just let them be kids and save it for a later date, if anything. Because I remember when I was in school, because I got ADHD, my mum really had to push for me to get like the right accommodations, like extra time. School were quite negligent of my needs, and my mum like she even had to resort. She even had to go to like last resort, which was like involved legal action because the school they're like, ignorant of my needs. And then I did eventually get extra time, but it wasn't easy either. And then there was loads of other kids in my situation who would benefit from that, but they didn't get they didn't get it. So especially with kids who have special needs or additional needs, there should be an alternative way to test them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No, I agree because like I just sat my A levels and so many of my friends like they applied for like extra time and like none of them got it. Like none of them got it. And now we're like, well, when we're filming this episode, we're waiting for results day. And they're all under so much pressure because they're just like, I know that if I had the extra time, I could have done better. I know that I could have like finished that question or I could have finished writing that essay really, really well. But they just weren't given that like opportunity. So it kind of takes away from them. And I think, like you said, it really does play with someone's like self-worth because like
Yeah.
I think especially from a young age, when we're put into these sets at school and everything, like it doesn't sit right with me personally that like your whole future seems to be determined by the fact that when you were in year seven, you were put in like set five instead of set one.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like that's really unfair. And how old are you in year seven? Like
Yeah, 11
well,
years.
11, 12 years
Oh,
old. Like that's just kind of when your life's beginning, you know, and you don't want to like send someone off into the world
yeah,
when you don't feel worthy enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. About the self worth thing, the self worth thing on its own is a huge impact on people's mental health, so especially for young kids as well. Like because with social media, where everything's so perfect, where everything's paying out to be so perfect, and you have all these like different public figures who have done all sorts of like Botox or plastic surgery to make him look. It gives like an unrealistic view of beauty and like perfection. And then you see so many young kids. Like I went to a concert for I went to a concert, and then there's so many young girls there who are like they're in primary school and they're worrying about like the makeup and what they look like. And I feel like I feel like as a society we can maybe help these things, and we shouldn't promote things like these, whether it be in social media or in the community in general.
Yeah. Because I think there's so much pressure like online to like present yourself a certain
Yeah.
way or to
Yeah.
be like a certain kind of human being. And then when like there's pressure added in school or in your education as well, it's just kind of like another layer, something
Mm.
else that gets added on. And it's really unfair because no one needs to go through that.
Yeah.
And if people are going through that, there needs to be then the right support to help people get through that, which I think
Yeah. I mean, they
a
shouldn't
lot
go
of
for it
people think is
anyway.
lacking. Yeah, like it shouldn't happen in the first place, but if it is happening, then there should be the support
Yeah.
there
Mhm.
to help young people get through that. Because otherwise, like it's not okay.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Thank
yeah,
you so
thank
much.
you. Thank you for being here.